Right, the beginning of 1944, the area, lots of area of Dorset was actually cleared of the civilian population. Because there's a good reason about that. The Allies needed to practice for an upcoming event. So they needed all these beaches cleared, all the area around this little villages that were close to the coastline cleared, because they were going to use live ammunition, and they were going to practice between the Army, Navy and Air Force. They were practicing the landings, the beaches here, because there was an upcoming thing called Operation Overlord. But to me, it's called D-Day. We're going to look at a thing called Fort Henry. It's basically a big concrete blockhouse that was built specifically to view what was happening on the beaches over at Studland Bay. Now, some really famous people were actually here. I'll let you know who they are. This coastal battery bunker would have been built around about 1940. There was obviously a gun fortification there, which you can see where it's been taken out. There's back there where they'd have stored the ammo and stuff like that. So this area of Dorset, which we'll show you the beach in a minute, was one of the places that the War Office, which is the Ministry of Defence now, knew that possibly the Germans could land in 1940. I'll show you. Basically, Studland Beach. Now, I know it's 1940 this is, because you've got this great big thing in front of it. This was built around about 1942-43. Just where I'm stood in this position now, I can imagine back in April 1944, the amount of dignitaries were actually VIP people that mattered for us to win this war. There was Prime Minister Winston Churchill, there was King George VI, Lord-to-be Louis Mountbatten, General Bernard Montgomery, and the Supreme Allied Commander of all the Allied forces, Dwight D. Eisenhower. They will all be studying now what I am and what you're looking at, looking through this slot here of this Operation Smash when it was going into action. Right, back in April 1944, all this beach would have been cleared, so Operation Smash would go ahead, basically training for the D-Day landings. So all this area would have been cleared of mines and barbed wire, whatever it may have been on the beach. There'd have been troops up there, possibly, there would have been pillboxes anywhere from 1940. Now the troops were using live ammunition to fire onto these invading force, if you want to call it that. So they'd have obviously been coming from there and land on the beach just to practice, to see what was going on. Operation Smash was also to try out new weaponry. And one of the new weapons that they were trying out was an adapted tank called a DD tank, or a duplex drive tank. Now this tank had a skirting around it, so it would rise up above the actual turret itself and the gun, because the reason why that is because they were actually making it, they call it, I think, a floating tank. And the idea was to try and get the tank close enough to the beach, release the tank off a landing craft, and then float the way onto landing beach, and then when they got onto solid ground, this tank skirt could drop down and they could carry on supporting the troops. These duplex drive tanks also had two propellers on the back as well, so in other words they could propel themselves along in the water. The problem they had was they were okay in calm water, but in a little bit choppy water, unfortunately they didn't survive. They weren't very good at it. As far as I know, 2 tanks sank here with 6 people, and these 6 people died, and the 2 tanks are still down here yet. in the water about 15 metres down. Fort Henry is a Grade 2 listed World War II observation bunker overlooking Studland Bay in Dorset, United Kingdom. Its name derived from the home base in Ontario after the Canadian Royal Engineers who built it. Built in 1943 and located at the top of Redland Point on the edge of a sandstone cliff, the bunker is 90 foot long. The walls, floor and ceiling are all 3 feet thick. Observation opening or embrasure is 80 foot long. On 18th of April 1944, 6 weeks before D-Day, the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was joined by King George VI, Supreme Allied Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower, Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery and Acting Admiral Louis Mountbatten at the observation point to witness Operation Smash, the largest live ammunition practice of the entire war, in the run-up to the D-Day landings. A trial run of Duplex Drive or DD Valentine tanks ran into difficulty when a change in the weather adversely affected the sea conditions. 6 stricken tanks sank, sadly with the loss of 6 crew members. The Sherman tank version did much better on the D-Day landings. Today this site is owned by the National Trust. It is free to enter and forms part of the Studland Beach Second World War walk. Thanks for watching.